Hello, and welcome to another episode of Surviving a Stroke. This is Chris, a stroke survivor from 2011, and today what I wanted to talk about is having a caregiver. Do you need one or do you not need one? I mean, I'm gonna start again speaking for myself. I definitely need to have a a caregiver, and because I know when I had my stroke back in 2011, a lot of in the hospital I was really taken care of. I mean, I had OTs bathing me and had PTs teaching me how to walk and everything. But now that I'm home and years later, I still need help with certain things. So having a caregiver definitely is something that most of you will need. And again, a lot of it depends on the severity of your stroke. Because some people, they might have a really mild stroke and they get to the hospital in time and they can get a stroke buster and they can get back to normal in 6 months. But then there's the rest of us. That's not true. So so look at your life, look at how severe your stroke is. That'll really determine if you need to have a caregiver or not. Um, I know for myself, my caregiver is my wife. Um, she's the one now does all the cooking because before I had a stroke, I did the cooking, I did the laundry, I did a few other things. But since my stroke, there's certain things I just can't do anymore. And one of them that drives me nuts is that I can't drive because because of my arm is not quite back to normal. My left arm, that is, that's just one of the things. There's certain things I can't do, so I had to depend on either her or somebody else to drive me places, and which was personally it drives me nuts. But thank God she's there to do it, and I have other people that step up and they're my drivers to work and such. So you will need to have a caregiver for something, and I know that they they say that having public transportation, because there are a lot of organizations that provide public transportation, but from my experience so far, I think, and some of them are really bad. It's either it takes forever to get picked up to go places, or the people that are driving these vehicles are terrible. I mean, I had one really bad experience, and I'll mention the company Metro Micro. We had this one crazy lady, and this was the last day I rode on Metro Micro. She just was so disrespectful of me as a person that was disabled. And the day she came to pick me up, she yelled at me because I requested to be picked up on my side of the street, not the other side of the street, because I'm very uncomfortable crossing the street. And she basically said, you need to be on a handicap vehicle, not a public transportation. And I said, hello, this is a handicap accessible van you're driving. And the whole purpose of it is to pick up people that are disabled. And she she disrespected this elderly guy that she picked up. She threatened to throw him in the trunk, and I just had to report her because it's like, okay, you're dealing with stroke people here. You can't act like that. So I'm kind of like at this point not so keen on public transportation. Um, I know that my caregiver has to push me in a wheelchair when I go to places that require a lot of walking. So that's one thing. You have somebody to be your wheelchair person to move you around, things like that. I've gotten more independent about a lot of things, but I still need to have a caregiver. I mean, I know, for example, my friend Terry, she had a stroke, I think 3 months after I did, and her stroke was more serious than mine was. I mean, her sister had to give up her life basically to be my friend's caregiver. And to this day, she's still her caregiver. She's an amazing caregiver. She takes her to all kinds of concerts. So my friend gets to go to concerts like she used to before her stroke. So she's what I consider to be an amazing caregiver. Um, my cousin that had a stroke a few years ago, her her siblings and her husband, amazing caregivers, and she's almost gotten back to normal again from her stroke. So really, it depends on who your caregiver is, and and they understand their responsibility. One thing I do suggest though for caregivers is that you yourself belong to a support team. Either I know that some hospitals offer it in person, but also there's support teams on Facebook. There's support other places online. There are support teams for stroke caregivers because it is very, very exhausting to be a caregiver. And I know from my own personal experience that it really wears people out. And I think this is what adds to my grief that I have about being a stroke survivor is that I wear people out that take care of me. So really, they should get themselves into some sort of support team for themselves because being a stroke caregiver is really, really difficult. One thing I'm going to talk about in a different episode is how having a stroke affects your relationships with others, but I'm going to save that for some other time. So I'm going to cut this short today. Have a great day. Take care of yourself and make yourself aware and watch other people that they don't have a stroke themselves. Thank you so much for listening and make sure to follow. Thank you.